What up, guys? Yeah, we've got another beer review coming at you today, and again, I'm sorry it's not a holiday beer again. Since I'm in Michigan, I wanted to try to get as many Michigan beers or regional beers I'm not don't usually have access to through. So this is the next one up. This one is a Brut Rose IPA. I'm a little interested in checking this out from Untitled Art. I don't know if this is Untitled Artist or brewed and canned by Untitled Art. It's out of Waunakee, Wisconsin. I might be pronouncing that right. I don't know. I know growing up in Michigan, there's a lot of like Indian or Native American terms for cities that unless you're from there, you're just absolutely gonna murder the pronunciation. Like Mackinac. You look at how that's spelled. It's like that doesn't say Mackinac. But anyways, I'm very interested to see what this Brut Rose IPA is going for. Some of the deets. It is 7% ABV. It does not look like it shows the IBUs or anything else for that. No. But I can dig the label. It is a stick-on, but it actually covers the entire thing. It's not one of those half-ass stickers that goes like this. Come on, man. At least get the full-size sticker. Anyways. Crack this sucker open. Get it pouring. Oh yes, it has got that nice, like, ruby red. Looks like a Faygo pop. Anybody that knows what I'm talking about with Faygo, ruby red Faygo. But anyways, let's get into the review. I'm very excited to try this out. So let's get into the review, get into the smell. Definitely get that pine aroma up front on the tip of your nose. Not as juicy or like fruity as I was expecting, but that's really the just the color is I'm so used to, especially all the red kid stuff you would eat and drink. It has that like super sugary, so you just kind of mentally connect it. So it doesn't have, it's not like that. But I could see a bit of that Brut champagne. Kind of like that dry champagne aroma going on. So you get a bit of the pine, a bit of that dry champagne. Not like freshly cracked open champagne though. It kind of smells like you cracked open your New Year's Eve bottle, you put it down, you mingled around the room, you came back like an hour later, cross your finger, it has been roofied, and there it is. So it's lost a bit of its bubbly. It kind of has that semi-flat Brut champagne aroma going on. And I am starting to get more of a juicy element to it. Oh, what is that aroma? What is that? On the tip of my tongue. It's not like an orange or grapefruit or anything like that, and it's not as acidic as like a raspberry. It's more of a almost like a hint of a mild strawberry. But we got a lot of stuff going on here, so that there is a hint of fruity juiciness to it. You got the pine, you got that kind of semi-flat Brut champagne. It has definitely piqued my interest. I think it should be at least interesting to try, but I'm going to recommend it on aroma. Let's get into the taste. Oh yeah, that is a rosé champagne. Absolutely. It's interesting because a lot of times if you're drinking like an IPA, you get that piney bitterness on the tip, like on the top part. of the tasting palette, and then it kind of goes down. You might have some more subtle juiciness, like grapefruit, and then underneath that you might have like some maltiness to it. A lot of the flavors in this are kind of competing at that top level, like the Brut Rosé and the Pine. They're kind of clashing right at the top. There's not much layering. I would almost rather there be one like dominant taste and then one that kind of goes right underneath it and assists with the taste. But they're kind of butting heads a little bit. Mm-hmm. Not okay. They're butting heads, but that's not to say that they don't necessarily go together. I think that pine aspect goes relatively well with that Brut champagne thing. I think because just the dryness kind of goes with the pine aspect to it. It almost tastes like a higher alcohol, just rosé wine. What is a typical rosé like? Between 13 and 14%, somewhere around there. This is 7%, but this one almost tastes like the alcohol content is higher. I think because of that piney thing, it's almost like you're making what's in a sangria, or it tastes almost like you have, or any kind of wine-based cocktail or red wine-based cocktail that you might mix gin with. That's kind of what that's what this thing's got going on. I'm a fan of gin. Got me into trouble a couple times, but that's what the piney aspect kind of lends itself to it. It definitely tastes like it has a higher alcohol content, at least to me, than the 7%. But it's very interesting. Very dry. Absolutely dry. Everything's on the tip of my tongue, but that's it. It's almost like the taste is almost like floating above my tongue. It's so dry. You don't like you might have a dab of like woodiness to it as well, but there's not a lot of other stuff going on. At least it's all the tastes on the same level. So yeah, it's very dry. Taste, maybe it doesn't make sense, but it's like elevated in my mouth. It's not. I don't have that kind of wet, juicy thing going on that just like sticks to your tongue. This is all kind of elevated over it. But I think it tastes all right. It is definitely a Brut Rosé IPA. Absolutely. I mean, you read it, you're gonna expect something. You're going to get exactly that. It is exactly what this says it is, which is all right. So I'm going to recommend it on taste. Next category is value for price. Expensive. More than a little bit. This is $5.49 for one. That's a lot. That's kind of hefty for, what is it, 16 ounces? It's 1 pint. I'm assuming this is 16 ounces. But yeah, that's a lot. And plus, Michigan, you're paying the 10% extra tax. I mean, you get it back as long as I remember to return it. But of course, the problem is it's like a specialty beer that you don't get at every grocery store. So you have to basically take it to the place that sells it, which means I got to take it to a very specific location, which is kind of a pain in the ass. But it's that's what I was thinking. Gosh darn it. Sorry, I just saw it had some flavor points. And it does have strawberry. So, I got that right. But it contains hibiscus. That is the taste. I definitely tasted that, and I just couldn't think of it. I was making up a new cocktail, and I was making a simple syrup. But I was distilling it down, instead of just regular like sugar, water, whatever. I was distilling it down from a hibiscus plant that you can get, like the dried ones. You might use it for tea, but I got it and boil it down and combine the sugar with it, and it has this kind of earthy sweetness to it. Hibiscus, absolutely. So I'm glad I saw that because that would have driven me crazy. So yes, hibiscus and strawberry. Everything it says on there, you taste. And you didn't even need to look at the label to know that's what it tasted like. But anyways, back to the price, $5.49. That's a lot. That is... It's not to the point where it's too expensive to at least taste it, to try it out. It is 7%. It is 16 ounces. I think it's worth checking out. That's still a lot to regularly pay for a single. But if you really love it, if you're really a big wine fan, or if you know somebody that is a wine fan and you're trying to kind of like get them into some IPAs, this could work. Just remember, though, just keep in mind, $5.49, $5.50. So I'm gonna give it a half on value for price. It's worth checking out. It's still kind of a lot for a single. Next category is distinction. How distinct is it? And I mean, I haven't had too many Brut Rosé IPAs. I dig it. It's a unique enough. There are so many IPAs out there where it almost like, and there's so many like for easily forgotten IPAs that you just totally forget about. You drink it, like, it tastes like every other IPA. It tastes like a kit IPA that like 95% of all your local breweries are making. They're just using some kit recipe, like, a Mr. Beer Kit kind of thing. But this one stands out, and it's not like crappy. It stands out in a good way. I like it. It's hard to stand out in the IPA world. Maybe I just haven't had enough of the Brut Rosés, but I'm gonna recommend it on distinction. It has enough going on for it to be like, it's definitely different from your standard IPA, so I'm gonna recommend that. Alright, next category is drinkability, and I mean, it drinks pretty well. I might be getting a little more, now that it's warming up a little bit, I think I'm getting a little more grapefruit. It's definitely the hibiscus and strawberry major taste factors going on. But it drinks pretty well, the bitterness is not overwhelming. For me, if the bitterness is just super intense, that's just too much for me. Like, I like a controlled bitterness. I mean, I don't know what this is. I'm not even going to try to guess because that dry champagne's throwing me off. But it's a nice bitterness. It makes it easy enough to drink, so you don't have to like sip it. And I'm a fan. I think it's pretty well done. So drinkability, yes, it is easy enough to drink. 7%. So absolutely, go check it out. And alright, last category. So yeah, I was working on that. Last category is would I buy it again? And I mean, I might. It's more expensive than I'd like to pay for one. I'm sure the 4-pack is probably $18. I'm sure they give you a little bit of a kick price savings. You buy 4 instead of 1. I think it'd be interesting to get other people to try, especially people that I know that like wine and IPAs. I think this would be a fantastic option. So I'd buy it again for somebody else and maybe occasionally for myself. It won't be a regular purchase, so I'm going to give it a half. There's potential that I'll buy it again. Granted, when I go home, I don't even think this is going to be available, but we shall see. Bumper, no, forehead. Somebody punched me or something. But anyways, that is the review of Untitled Art Brut Rosé IPA. What do you think? Have you had this before? Have you had other Brut Rosés that you've had before that you like really are super into? Let me know in the comments. And also like, subscribe, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And yeah, let me know what you think of this beer. And so for myself and for Untitled Art Brut Rosé IPA, take it easy.